Having waved ta-ta for now to so many wonderful friends after seeing 2024 in great style, it was time to leave beautiful DAKHLA Lagoon and drive the last 400 kilometres to start new adventures in Mauritania. First, the obligatory stop as you cross the Tropic of Cancer, and a quick sticker placement too. About 100 kilometres in, we stopped to help a lorry that had broken down, lent them a few bits and pieces and some water for drinking until their assistance arrived. Little did we know that while we were sitting at the border queue, a few days down the line, these guys would appear waving and smiling, happy to see us, and happy that he'd made it to the border, albeit under tow. This becomes a common occurrence along these journeys, and the camel gets priority. We'd met this lovely group of cyclists previously and knew they were cycling our way. Up in the distance we could see cyclists, and as we got closer, of course we recognised them.
Hey!
We stopped to provide refreshments, water, oranges, biscuits, and have a lovely catch-up. It's surprising what a small world it is. For our last night's stop in Morocco, we found another petrol station. They're always welcoming and there's plenty of space, and this one was close to the border, so we knew we could get into the queue nice and early the next morning. The queue begins. We can see that we're nice and close to the front by the flags at the border entrance. It's always good to have a little something to entertain yourself for the hours waiting at the border. 6.5 hours this time, little did we know. But the border staff in both Morocco and Mauritania were really friendly and polite, and even during all the searches, sniffer dogs, x-rays, more checks, paperwork going backwards and forwards, they did it with a smile. Once through the Moroccan border, you still have 3.5 kilometres to drive to the Mauritanian border, with a range of road quality, from tarmac to stony to huge craters to sand ledges, and cars trying to pick their way across it. Lots of shake, rattle and roll going on, but the border was in sight. With friendly assistance throughout the whole of the Mauritanian border crossing, we were on our way to find somewhere to park up for the night, tired and hungry. Been a long day. We find a park up just off the main busy street, time to relax, and tomorrow we start exploring. We needed to pick up some supplies having driven for the past few days, so time to pop to the shops. First, find a space in this charming mayhem. It's Mauritania's second largest city and has the normal hustle and bustle and serves as a major commercial centre. But before independence, the town was called Port Etienne after the first boat which arrived here, Etienne. And since independence, it has been called NOUADHIBOU. The roads are filled with every form of vehicle, new, some old, and some, not sure how to describe, but they're still running. A bustling market, that's always a good sign for fruit and veg. We managed to find a spot and enjoyed a good walk round, bit of shopping, bit of chatting to the locals. All seems very friendly and very pleasant. Leopard still gets the same lovely waves and hellos as she did in Morocco. Whilst we were in NOUADHIBOU, we knew we wanted to get to see the iron ore railway that runs around the country's northern borders, so we set off to find the station and also a good vantage point to see it in action. It consists of a single 700-kilometre railway link that links the iron mining centre of Zouarat and the port of NOUADHIBOU via Frederick and Choum. It's one of the longest trains in the world and at times can be around 2.5 kilometres long. That means it would take you a good 30 minutes to walk from one end to the other. The train runs a kind of schedule. There's no ticket to purchase. You can simply hitchhike the train, climb on top of it and enjoy the raw adventure when nothing is between you and the Sahara Desert. The journey can be quite tough. If you decide to ride it the whole of one journey one way, it'll be about 18 hours. Dust from the iron ore and sand from the Sahara Desert will be one of your few enemies on this journey, and it's recommended that you have a turban, something to cover your face, something to cover your eyes, and a blanket to keep you warm, and gloves to keep you warm over the night, and good shoes. And prepared, you'll arrive totally blackened and with clothing that will seep iron ore for a number of washes. It was time after a week of New Year festivities and long days travelling to enjoy a little R&R at Victor and Trish's. They kindly said that we could stay at theirs with Leopard and enjoy a touch of paradise by the sea at Villa Maguella, about 20k for NOUADHIBOU. What a stunningly beautiful place to stop for a couple of days. How chill. We watched the sun go down over the sea and then went and joined Victor and Tish for supper, along with Gino and Manu, our Italian friends, who'd also joined us. Waking the next morning, we opened the safari windows and watched the sun rise up over the sea with a cuppa. How more beautiful a way to start the day. One of the reasons for timing our entry into Mauritania for early January was we'd organised to spend a few days with the African Eco Rally. We'd been given permission to stay with the teams on their campus for a couple of the stages while they're in Mauritania, so excitedly we hit the road to drive down towards Chami and meet our friends Andre and Nadia, who'd also be joining us. The Africa Eco Race was launched in 2009 to keep the original spirit and route of the Dakar Rally alive after it was moved to South America and then on to Saudi Arabia. 2024 is the 15th edition of the long-distance African race, with its route from Europe through Morocco to Mauritania and ending in Senegal at the Rose Lake near the city of Dakar. This legendary off-road race is one of the harshest, most brutal races in the world. The participants race their motorcycles, trucks, quads and cars for 12 straight days across thousands of miles on some of the most remote, rugged and punishing terrain. And here we met Tom Tomek as we were taking pictures of his truck. He was doing the same with Leopard. Such a lovely guy, and we spend much time chatting to him over the next few days. Incredibly, he's completing the whole route for the 5th time alone in the cabin without a navigator. Some feat. In the mornings we'd head off to find good spots to catch the racers coming past. As the sun goes down each evening, the fun and games begin. The camp barely sleeps, as somewhere there's always a generator running and the sound of mechanics tinkering away and repairing and rebuilding goes on deep into the night. Over the few days we were with them, we were spoilt with amazing racing. To see them chasing their vehicles across the sands, dunes and severely testing terrain, the speed was incredible. Some of the stages were over 450 kilometres long. So many hours racing and in searing heat. These guys are crazy and to be admired. The Africa Eco Race has a special focus on the environment, communities, people and local businesses which the race passes through. It operates in a way that puts true values on human lives, eco-responsibility, sustainability and environmental impact at the forefront. It's the most environmentally friendly and ecologically aware rally race in the world, running a series of projects each year that help to provide long-term contribution to improve the lives of the people in remote areas that it races across. Whilst also contributing to the local economy, they also try to ensure that their locals are involved to the maximum level. After a fabulous few days, it was time to move on from the desert, drive the 700 kilometres to NOUAKCHOTT and also to see the port to PECHE, which had been high on our agenda. We find a great park up on the beach and here we meet up with Gino and Manuela again. It's the perfect spot for us all to be able to walk just a few minutes along the beach in the morning to the port de Pêche. Literally within minutes, the sea spectacle and dance of the waves was before us. You could hear the roar of the ocean waves, the shouts of the men, the bustle of the catches being dragged up the shore. Hundreds of fishing boats line the beach, and there's a constant flurry of them riding the waves out on fishing trips and back to shore. Hit the waves wrong and the boats turn over, which happens in front of us. Tens of men run to the water's edge to help. The sheer effort to drag the boats in, shouts of commands, and then a flurry of trying to save some of the catch. We've seen these sort of things portrayed in documentaries, but we stood here watching it in front of us was such an awesome treat. The fish is then dragged up the beach and straight to the market for sale. How much fresher can you buy it? The intense smell and sounds envelope you. Some of the fish is frozen. There's huge bags of ice everywhere and they're packing it into those. Others is transported by jeeps through the desert, whilst the rest is shipped to Europe to make animal feed. You can barter for the price and walk away with delicacies that just moments earlier were still swimming in the sea. We decide to travel a long journey east across the country through AKJOUJT to ATAR, past more of these wonderful settlements. We've been watching beautiful desert scenery for weeks, so it was wonderful to see the landscape charts change and to see ranges, greenery and water the closer we got to ATAR. It had been a long day driving and high temperatures, so we decided to pull over for the night just outside the small town of AKJOUJT. ATAR in west central Mauritania is an oasis and a caravan stopping point and lies on the road leading southwards to NOUAKCHOTT. The oasis produces dates, grains and supports cattle, sheep, goat and grazing. ATAR is the site of an airstrip. It also has a school for traditional weaving and an important source of rugs. It's the greatest base for exploring the DAKHLA region. The ATAR mosque is one of the oldest mosques in the country. It dates from about 1674. We park up at the old Burj Sahara with a couple of German overlanders, Michael and Dina. It's only a few minutes walk to the main town, so we pop into the lovely market and pick up vegetables and supplies for dinner. ATAR has a hot desert climate typical of the Sahara Desert south of the Tropic of Cancer, meaning that the excessive heat persists all year round. It's hot during the day, it's sultry at night, perfect for dining outside under the night stars. Having spent a lovely couple of days here and catching up on things like washing etc, it was time for us all to go our separate ways. Some back north to Morocco while we were going further east to Mauritania, ancient city of CHINGUETTI, with the oldest mosque in Mauritania and ancient manuscripts. Rising like a mirage on the ever Mauritania's vast Overlander sand dunes, the ancient city of CHINGUETTI has welcomed travellers seeking shelter from the blistering Saharan heat for centuries. The city was a principal gathering place for pilgrims to gather on their way to Mecca, and it became known as a holy city in its own right, especially for pilgrims unable to make the long journey to the Arab Peninsula. One of 7 holiest places in Islam, it's a UNESCO World Heritage Site, but it threatens to sink into the sand. In 2003, UNESCO financed removal of around 3 metres of sand throughout the city, but with nature at its best or worst, the sand has rebuilt. We parked up on the newer part of CHINGUETTI and walked a few minutes across the sandy riverbed to the old Bazaar. We spoke to locals and asked if we could arrange to see one of the oldest libraries, which holds some of the world's most important medieval Quranic texts. We were kindly invited in to take tea with some of the local women, and there we met Fatima. She was a lovely young girl who spoke a little of English, French and Spanish, who would act as our guide and arranged for the library to be opened for us to be able to view the manuscripts. As we have found all so often, the hospitality and friendliness make such experiences all the more pleasurable. We met the librarian, and his family had collected many ancient manuscripts from different libraries around the town. Passionate for the books, he can tell stories of camel caravels crossing the town, bartering for goods. The last caravan crossed the town in the early 1970s before 4x4s all took over. They do their best to ensure that the ancient books are properly preserved. Glass cabinets for some of the 13th and 16th century manuscripts, but they still await promises made by UNESCO and foundations for donations to help with the preservation. It would be criminal if they don't ensure the preservation of this World Heritage art, the largest library with a collection of around 700 writings, books and other printed matter that families have collected and maintained over generations. Fatima took us to the old Khazar where she lived. We took tea in the local auberge and also looked at the Chinguetti Mosque, a medieval mosque from around the 11th century and the oldest in Mauritania. The city's 5-point minaret famously topped with clay ostrich eggs, symbolising purity and fertility. Chinguetti has a special and beautiful atmosphere, and we're so glad we got to experience one of the oldest areas of this incredible region, leaving very special memories that will stay in our hearts and minds forever. All too soon it was time to hit the road again and move on from this beautiful country. Mauritanian desert has some of the most beautiful and unsport dunes in the world, and a rich culture and history which runs deep into the veins of this incredible country.